Alright, here I am underneath the Durango again. As you can see, I'm quite comfortable. We've got some transfer case issues. We've got what I believe is a stretch chain. Okay, so that's where the front driveline goes. I did a video on taking the front driveline out. I'll link it in here. So you can see how to do that, because it's its own very own job. It's kind of a pain. But this probably sounds kind of normal, but when you actually have it up on a lift and put it in gear, you can hear the chain kind of click, 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 click. I wish I could duplicate it so such a faint sound, but it's just like a chain ratcheting kind of sound every time we release the so if you accelerate and then let off the gas, you hear kind of a just really faint, really quiet. And then it got to the point where now it is actually, you can kind of feel it thumping on the floor, right? Because like right here's where your butt is. Sorry, right here. You're basically sitting right here where I'm showing in the camera, and you can kind of hear it thumping. So pretty sure we got a stretch chain in here. I'm gonna find out pretty soon. So I did this and thought I recorded it, and apparently I didn't. So we'll just kind of do the Cliff Notes version. The back of the transfer case is here. So this is the rear drive line we're looking at, the front of it, the front of the rear drive line. But it's covered, from the factory, it's covered by a heat shield. So first thing I'm going to do is take off these nuts, which I already did and thought I recorded it and didn't. So you got 1, 2, and then you go to the back of the suitcase here, and there is another one here, and another one that I can't see what I'm doing right now, but just on the opposite side. So just 4-hold it in, and then you can get pretty good access after that. You just kind of shove it back. So I don't think I'm going to have to take off the exhaust, but we'll see as we go along. We're going to have to take all these bolts out of the driveline, front and rear. We'll show that when we're doing it. And probably the carrier bearing that I just covered, the heat shield carrier bearing there. And then we should, hopefully, fingers crossed, be able to just drop this driveline and just shove it to the back and not have to take it all the way out of the car. So I am going to get started. I imagine these are very tight. The front ones were very, very tight. In order to do this, you kind of have to have all 4 wheels up off the ground so that you can turn the driveline to get to all the bolts set. So you should be able to just set the emergency brake and take out all the bolts that are accessible, then turn it and get the other bolts. Driveline bolts are an 8mm. No, I'm going to be better off with a normal Allen wrench. Okay, so I think just a short Allen wrench will work. This is from Bondus, is where I got this one. Just off of Amazon, actually. Let's see. Gotta turn it the right way. Yeah, just like I thought. Those are very tight. They've got green Loctite on them. Holy crap, very tight. But looks like the emergency brake is holding it, so you might not need a helper for these ones. Unless your helper's really strong, and then just make them all. Make them do all of them. Let's see, I am. You know what? I'm gonna spray some stuff. I found out that this motorcycle chain lube is really good as a penetrant oil, better than the PV Blaster that I was trying to use before. It really soaks in quite well. Not sure why I didn't think to do this before. Might as well do the back while we're here. Let that soak in a little bit. A little more accessible to the back. There's the back of the driveline. Well, I'm not going to record the entire process of getting these bolts out. It's pretty obvious. Spray them with penetrating lube and turn them out. Righty tighty, lefty loosey. And then I'll come back when they're out. All right, so I'll tell you right now, that was not fun. Those bolts are so tight. It's a long time. It took me about 10 minutes per bolt, and we've got 14 bolts. So yeah, almost about probably over 2 hours just trying to take those bolts out, because you can barely get a tool in there. I had to use this little short one. That's the only thing I could fit in there. I couldn't get a ratchet in there. I couldn't get power tools in there. Nothing else. And you can only turn about a quarter turn at a time. So just keep in mind, it's going to take a long time. It's just like the front drive shaft, where you cannot get to all of them at once. You can't just lay under there and do them all. You have to do the ones you can reach, and then you have to turn the drive line. And if you have 160,000 miles on your Durango like I do, you'll have to clean those out. So I mean, I would just plan on that anyway. It doesn't matter how many miles you have on there. Take a pick or whatever you can before you start to loosen them. Otherwise, this will not go all the way in, and you'll end up stripping them. I was smart enough to do that beforehand, so I did not strip any bolts out. But yeah, just be really careful. Clean out those holes, because you can see some of these. Oh, that's a perfect one right there. You can see how dirty, how filthy that is. That was just clogged. A lot of them were just clogged, full of old dirt, grease, whatever, road grime. So make sure you clean those out so you can get the tool in as deep as possible. You want it all the way in, so you don't end up stripping it. Then the next stage is obviously getting the carrier bearing. It's just these two bolts. They also have Loctite on them, so they will fight you the whole way. They were 15 millimeter. That long stud makes it kind of silly. Luckily I had a gear wrench set with the open end sockets. But you can actually get a wrench up there. You can just get an open end wrench up there if you want. If you're trying to take the whole driveline out, obviously this video will help you with that. You would definitely have to take the exhaust out, though. You cannot get it out the back. But that wasn't my plan. I just wanted to get it out of the way so that I could work on the transfer case. Some people might think that it's easier to just take the back half off, and you can. It's these bolts all the way around, but a lot of them are up there, and I think that you end up working harder to avoid work. I'm pretty sure it'd be harder just to take the back half off. So important steps: you do have to drain it. That's the drain plug, and the fill plug is right above this. You're always supposed to make sure this one can come loose before you break this one loose. Otherwise, you won't have any way to put any new fluid in there. Now, if you're taking the whole thing out, then that's probably not applicable. But yeah, it's just an 8 millimeter Allen. I've already done mine. I don't know why I'm putting that in there. It's just an 8 millimeter Allen wrench, and you'll drain out the ATF plus 4 fluid in there. The next step, I'm going to take off this heat shield. Again, that is something you could probably skip if you really wanted to, because this would all come down as a unit. But I want to take this motor off so I don't accidentally break it. If this drops, it'll snap that, and that's money I don't really want to spend right now. So I'm going to take this off. These are female Torx bits. It's an E10. I don't know what the real word for those are, but they look like female Torx bits to me. Mine are already loose, obviously. I've tried to get some stuff done ahead of time so that keep this video short and knowledgeable, so you're not watching me guess. Although there will be a little bit of that too. Alright, and then that whole thing just comes down. And I'm just going to put these back so I don't lose them. Oh, if I can find them all. Then obviously you would have to take that one out too, but mine was already loose. That one, the heat shield just has a slot for that one, so you don't actually have to take it all the way out. And I already lost one. There it is. Alright, so I'm just going to put those right back in. Other things that are attached to it, obviously these wires. This plug just has this red tab here. You slide it back to that point and then squeeze and it comes right off. And then this plug, you don't have to slide anything back, it's just got a tab. Hopefully you can see that. A tab right on top here, and you just squeeze it together, wiggle it off. See the tab there? And then just pull it where it's attached. You can just gently pry these off. You don't need any special tool. Just gently wiggle this one off. It's attached up here. Just get a pry bar and just gently pry that off. And then that should be all the way free. Just tuck it out of the way. And then the only other kind of accessory thing is there's a vent tube here. This is on the driver's side. And again, no clamp or anything. It's a low pressure. But you just pull it right off. Let it hang. And now we are free, right? We are free. But let's just take this off real quick. Grab a tool. Alright, so these are, I don't know what the heck size they are because nothing actually fit them. 5/16 fits on there good enough, but it's a little loose, so I was able to get them all. They're not like super high torque bolts, but hopefully you have a better tool that'll actually fit. But I used the 5/16, got them all loose. Not sure why I chose to do it with a wrench. Let's see, put the phone down. Hopefully you can see that. Just one of those things where I could easily just go get a ratchet right now. But see, that's what I was expecting them to do. It's just get loose. The top one's not doing that. They are different, so take note of which one comes out of where. And I think we're going to have some fluid come down. So get something to catch that if you're going to take this off. There we go. Oh, no fluid. Okay. Stupid bolt though. This bolt and my stubbornness is about the end of me. Of course, none of them are hard to get to, but of the three, this is the hardest to get to. So of course, it's going to throw the biggest fit. gosh, that sucker's rusty. How does that get rusty? Okay. That pulls right out. Okay, so those bolts came out. I was wrong about the fluid. No fluid came out, so that is dry. And that's what it looks like inside of there. It's just a key that fits into the fits in there and just turns the clutches out when it senses that a wheel is slipping. And keep in mind those bolts bolts are different, so make sure you put them in the right. Note which ones go where. Yep, and that is dry as a bone, so got a good seal there. So now, once all that is, you just do another check. Your Durango might be different than mine. This also should apply to the Jeep for the most part. 2014 to probably now, 2022, 2023. Should be pretty similar. Because I'm pretty sure they all had the same transmission and transfer case with the 5.7. This is a Hemi on this one. So just double check just feel your hand around, make sure nothing else is attached to it. As long as you got a jack under it, you should have some warning signs before you pull anything off. But yeah, just pay attention. So once everything is free and clear, the only thing left to do is take it off. So you want to get something to support the transfer case. I'm going to use a floor jack. And then we will take the bolts off. It attaches right here, right above the transmission mount. We've got a bunch of more of these female Torx bits. This one's an E13. Sorry, E12. I'm sorry, E12. And they are really tight. See the E12 on there. So just be careful. Make sure you get that all the way on. Don't strip these out, because if you do, you're in trouble. Most of them are pretty easy to get to, but there are two on top that I cannot show you. Right here, that one is extremely difficult. You can't even see it. You just have to find it. The only way I was able to get that out was I've obviously pre-loosened all these. The only way I was able to get that out was to use a very, very stubby ratchet. I got it in there on the bolt. This is probably not going to help at all. I got it in there on the bolt, just kind of hanging down here, and then used a pry bar to pop it out. That's very dangerous. So hopefully you have better tools, a better arsenal of tools to do that. But that's very risky to strip that bolt. So just be really, really careful. Make sure you've got the socket all the way on there. I don't know if I already said this, but I'm not a mechanic, so this is not advice. I'm just showing you how I did it, so you can see the process. But that's the only one, because they are so tight. Even though you can get a ratchet all the way up there, you can't turn the sucker. So yeah, and then there's another one on top. So you see the one that I'm pointing at, there's another one above that. That's kind of hard to get to, but not nearly as bad as that other. So once you get the jack on here, you take all those bolts loose, and the whole thing should just slide back from there. So we'll get to that process in just a second. Okay, so the jack supporting it, the jack stand under the transmission mount, and then this jack, there's no pressure on that one. It's just an emergency thing there. So it's there, but you don't want to put pressure on the there we go, turn the flash off, on the plastic pan, or you might end up breaking it and have to replace the pan. I just wanted it there just in case something slips. I'd rather replace the pan than my head. So we just got all the bolts out. Just got one here. And all these bolts are the same, so you don't have to take any special precautions here about mixing them up. They're all the exact same bolt. Oh my gosh, this one wants to fight the whole way out. Tricky little guy. And then I got one more on this other side. Jack's in the way over there, so I can't really go lay on that side. So, I'm not sure why the sucker's not loose right now, but it's not. So the way it fits on there is there's a slip yoke right here. So you basically have to slide the whole thing back to get it out. I will not be able to hold the camera and do that. So once I get it out, I'll be able to show a little bit better though what that slip looks like on here and on the transmission. In case you don't know, that's your transmission there. But I guess if you don't know that's your transmission, you should definitely not ever attempt this. Just watch this video and like it. But okay, yeah, let me see what I can do to get this sucker off. All right, so you can see kind of mid-process here, I've got it broken loose. So this area right here is a nice little window to pry on. Once you get that off, or yeah, so you pry on that a little bit, then you kind of have to go to the other side and pry. Just try not to mar these surfaces, but I just pried a little bit, then I let the jack down a little bit, pried a little bit more, let the jack down a little bit more until it's all the way out. So far the driveline's not in the way, but I think I might be in trouble with that, so stay tuned. All right, it's a big empty space. So now you can kind of see what it slides onto. Sorry I couldn't really record getting it out of there, but it just takes a lot. And that's not what your driveline should look like. I busted the cap off. Not doing anything normal. I don't even know how to describe how I did that, but nothing I've shown in this video busted that cap off. I did something stupid, completely out of the process I've shown here, and end up turning the driveline with the motor and breaking that off. So I will get another one of those. I already got one off of eBay that I hope will fit, because that's not supposed to be serviceable, but they do sell them. So basically just kept wiggling it. There was a couple other things I had to do. The exhaust wasn't quite, or the driveline was in the way, so I had to drop just one side of the exhaust, and that gave me just enough room to slip the driveline back there. I'll show you where I did that. And then this piece, I don't even know what the heck this thing is, but this goes right here, so you can see where it was, right above the front drive shaft. And it sits right here. And it must be important because there's 3 bolts holding it on. But yeah, it just sits right there, and that was in the way. And I'm trying to figure out if this thing is from a junkyard, because it's got weird writing all over it. Right there. Can't tell what that says. But if anybody knows in the comments, tell me, is that a factory writing, or do I have a junkyard transfer case on my Durango? Because we got it at 114,000 miles. That almost looks like it might say 130,000 miles. So they definitely downgraded if that's from a junkyard. And then there's a little dot there on the part number. I don't think I've mentioned this is an NP 3023 transfer case. And it's got writing. I didn't think factories really wrote stuff on there like that, but maybe I'm wrong. Just dropping the exhaust gave me the room I needed. There's this hanger here. You can see I sprayed it with lube. And then you can just pry on it with a, I've got a special tool. It worked on that one, but it wouldn't work on the one on here that you can't even really see. It's up top, so I ended up just unbolting it, but the bolt snapped. So that's going to cause me some different problems, but oh well, we'll deal with that later. But that gave me just enough to drop one side of the exhaust down and get that driveline back farther. I'm going to end up taking the back shell off. So really simple. Just get something that you can put the shaft hang down, and then that sucker can stay flat. And then just take all these bolts out. It looks like they're all 10 millimeters. You'll have to put them in order because at least these 3 are different. They're probably all the same length. I mean, they almost have to be the same thread length, but these are there for a reason because they have the wires attached to them. So just pay attention to where they are. Now let's see, so that's, if you were sitting underneath the car, that's how it would be. So these 3 are on the right side, passenger side. Yeah, so I didn't think these bolts would be that tight, but they are pretty tight. See, I ended up just doing a little spray paint to mark where those ones went. I don't have a marker or anything here. This isn't my house, and I don't know where anything is, so I saw some paint, and so I just painted them, so that way I know where those 3 go. But yeah, so far they've been really tight. There's one that, this one I think, that won't come out. So I'm just being careful. I sprayed all the top ones with penetrating lube because those ones are the tightest of all, or I guess the bottom ones, huh? But yeah, so far so good. So far they've been all the same. I'll be back in a second. Okay, so you can see why that was having a hard time coming out. Another, I don't know, did that happen from the factory or what? Has someone been into this before? Maybe that's what all those markings are on it. I don't know, but man, I was really careful. I worked it, sprayed stuff in there, worked it back in, twisted it back and forth, trying to make sure I worked the fluid into the threads, the lube into the threads, but it's still, I don't know if you can see that, but the threads are good halfway, and then just on this back half, they are really bad, like it got over tightened or something. So I will have to find another bolt for that one. Otherwise that sucker's just going to strip out because there's not much threads left. But either way, I think I will mark that one as well, just so I remember. But other than that, all the bolts were the same. You could see I was being really careful as I was taking it apart to put them all around it where they came out, but they are all exact same except for those 3 that I spray painted. So that's easy enough. Now it's time to get it apart. To get it apart, you just pry on here. And there's another one on the other side. There. pry it apart right there. That's where you break the case open. Yeah, so I just put it on its side, put that here, and one little tap, or 2 little taps, and it was gone. So it will mar it up. So be careful not to pry too much on this surface, because that is a sealing surface. As you can see, fluid is coming out. That's why you want to, that's why I was saying kind of drain it first. But yeah, it comes apart pretty easy. It's just held together with RTV. And apparently that's from the factory, from everything I've seen. So there is no gasket. So I certainly hope this isn't from the factory, but there was RTV all over inside of this thing. There's this little magnet here, and it was, RTV is not magnetic, but for some reason it collected there, and it was just surrounding that magnet and sitting right there. There's RTV everywhere except for the surface. Look, I don't have to clean that surface. But it was all just inside. But it sealed, it never leaked, but that's insane. So, once you break that apart, it just slides apart. Just slide it straight out, and it comes apart. As you can see the splines, that's where the chain goes. There we go. Just moved it a little more. So basically, that's how it goes together. This spline slides into the chain. That slides into this. There's all your insides. I don't know enough about them to know what I'm looking at really. But I am a little disheartened here because, oh, and this pickup was full of freaking RTV too. Whoever did that was stupid. The chain doesn't really look loose. You hold it out here, obviously with 2 hands, and move the chain. And I don't know. This is different from the others that I've seen. The others had like a little plastic guide thing that kind of pushed against it. This one does not have that. Got some plastic gears in there. That's your, I think that's your all-wheel drive clutches, because that's attached to the motor. That's what the motor spins in and out right here. That motor we took off. The gears look pretty much brand new. This might be the part where I just yield to the professionals. Maybe go take this somewhere and have them look at it or rebuild it, or even just buy a rebuilt one, because it's about the same price. I got some quotes already, and you can get, for me to take it out and bring it to somebody, it was $2,200 to $2,600. He said if it doesn't need much, it could be as low as like $18. That is so much money for me doing all the labor. I mean, obviously it's a very skilled, you got to know what you're doing, so they earn their money. I'm not talking shit there, but man, it's a lot of money. That's all I'm saying. You can get a rebuilt one from Mopar certified for $2,200. So now I have a choice to make. Do I take it somewhere and have this one put back on, or do I just get a new one? I have to send this one in as a core to get the Mopar certified one. But man, I think it might be something besides the chain. This is the front drive shaft, and that's not loose at all. Definitely not loose at all. This rattles a little bit. So yeah, other than buying a chain and just seeing, I don't really know what else to do. I'm not knowledgeable enough.